Okay, it's 9 o'clock. What we're going over today is government contracting 101. Of course, that's why you guys are here. But I wanted to talk about this B2B or B2G, which stands for business to government. That's what the transaction is when you're dealing with the government. Your business come first, then it's the two, then it's the government. So I want to go in that order. Last week, I started off a little bit last week. I know you guys remember I talked about, having your business name. I talked about the address. I talked about having a website. Just the foundation things that you need when you're dealing with the government. And so I want to, go a little bit more over what you need for your business and the things you need to know. Just because there's no point of trying to do business with the government if you don't know your business. So, and also when anytime I meet somebody who has tried to do business with the government in the past and they have issues with contracts and proposals, um the part where I'm noticing in between all of the people that I'm dealing with, the part that they struggle with the most is their business, the finances part, the writing a proposal. Um, the the parts that they struggle with the most usually be the part that comes to their business. And I kind of want to help you guys out with that part today. So B2B, the first B, business is your business, so your business come first, and then you need to know your business. Before we can focus on the government, we have to focus on your business first. So we need to focus on your business. We got to know your business. I'm not gonna take up too much time tonight. I'm gonna try to keep it under an hour. I think last time I was like an hour and a half, and time before that like 2 hours. I'm gonna try to be brief. Um, if not, if you don't know your business, this is what's going to happen. You will be asking the government questions about your business that you should already know. Put it up there on the TV screen for you. If you do not know your business when it comes time to getting contracts or talking about solicitations, you're going to be asking the government questions that you should already know about your business. And I actually spoke to a contracting officer. Well, she's here in Dallas, but I spoke to her yesterday, and I just wanted to know some of the questions that that she get that irritates her, and that she told me that the question that she hate being asked, and it was funny because the questions that she hate being asked is questions that I already had written down anyway, because it just so happened to be the same questions that people ask me all the time. So the government is not in the business of telling you how to run your business. I'm just letting you know that now. So if you're trying to contract with the government and then you need to ask certain questions about your business or what you need to have in order, it's a turnoff. So I'm just letting you know now, it's a turnoff. Um, Now, these are common questions people ask the government that they should know already. And so, yeah, and I get these questions pretty much all the time. How much does this contract pay? Well, I know that you thinking that you should already, like, how should I already know that? Well, the thing is that you don't ask how much a contract pay because you are a business as well. You're not a worker no more. You're not trying to apply for a job and you're not asking your employer how much they're going to pay you for the week. You are a business and you provide a service. You need to tell them how much you charge. It's just plain and simple. And so, in order to tell them how much you charge, you need to get as much information from them as possible. So, how much do we charge? Like I say, you have to get as much information from them about the contract as possible. That way you can do your mathematics. That way you can sit and calculate how much you need to charge them for the services that they're asking for. Um, what bid is too high or too low? I can tell you now. This is a common question that I hear all the time, and I tell people, to be honest, don't worry about what's too high or too low, because if you do the math on your business, if you know that how much your insurance costs, you know how much you need to pay a driver or an employee, you know how much you need to pay yourself. If you know these numbers, then if the bid that somebody else, let's just say they accept somebody else's bid that's lower than yours, if your numbers couldn't beat that number, it wasn't no point of you winning that contract anyway. We don't want to be bidding on contracts that's not paying you, enough. And then if your bid is too high, then we need to go back into what is it that we need to go back to your mathematics for your business, which is, I'm going to talk about those mathematics just a second. What kind of tools or what kind of equipment do we need? These are also other questions that I hear all the time, and you should already know these things. And I know you think, how should I know these things? Well, plain and simple. If you're talking to a subcontractor and they give you the scope of work, and let's just say they tell you, hey, the we need something shipped. Let's just say, because I'm, like I say, I'm mostly trucking. So let's just say they say we need something shipped. They tell you that it's a pallet. They tell you the size of it. It's a small pallet. It's 2 by 3 feet, and it only weighs 600 pounds. You don't need a huge semi truck with a 53-foot dry van for that. You know that you could put that in the back of a Sprinter van. You could put that inside of a box truck. Even if you put it in a box truck, it takes up minimum space. Probably even fit that in your car. But whatever they tell you what the scope of work is, and they tell you what they need shipped, it's really up to you to determine what you need to ship it in, because they're not going to tell you, oh, it needs to be a flatbed. They're not going to tell you, oh, it needs to be a box truck. If whatever the scope is for that contract, they're not going to tell you what you need to do the contract. That's basically what it boils down to. How many people do we need to hire? Again, that's another question that I've heard, and even the contracting officer have heard. Once they give you the scope of work, it's up for you to determine how many people you need to hire to do the job, what kind of equipment that you need, what the quote is you need to quote them. That's stuff that you need to figure out on your end, because you are a business owner. We're getting out of the mind state of being an employee. We're not looking to get paid. We're looking to charge. You feel me? So you should always be asking questions to get as much details as possible so you can give the most accurate quote possible. Let me read some of y'all comments and see if anybody find I'm not leaving anybody behind. Just joined it. How you doing? What's going on, Tampa, Florida? Price right? Not really much of a factor as much as we think. Yeah, exactly. I'm already registered with the government. Okay. To be able to bid on contracts, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. To be able to bid on contracts. Um, you could be a sole proprietor or a LLC. You definitely want to be well. If you're a sole proprietor can be a LLC as well. So you can have a sole proprietor LLC, but just have a LLC. All right, all right. So I'll go ahead and continue. These are the questions that you actually need to ask the government. That way you can get as much information as possible. What is the scope of work? I don't know if you guys taking notes or not, but if you are, it's time to start taking notes. What is the scope of work? These are questions that you need to ask when you read a solicitation, or you need to figure out, and it might be actually in the solicitation. But if you talking to a contracting officer, you need to ask this question: what is the scope of work? How many stops on this route? So if this contract is a driving contract and it has a route, you need to know how many stops on the route. Because let's just say hypothetically, it's a 20-mile route, right? 20 miles, not a lot of. It's not a lot of driving. You know, so nonprofit organizations. You know what? I believe they do, but at the same time, I actually read something one time where they say they don't do contracts. But I think when it comes to nonprofits, you should just check with the contractor officer at that time. But let's go back to the hypothetical. Let's say hypothetically you got a 20-mile contract. I mean 20-mile route. And let's just say you say to yourself, oh, okay, on that 20-mile route, I'm going to, I could charge them $3 a mile and that'd be good, and you say to yourself, okay, well, that's $60 to do this route. You may be thinking, oh, I'm just going to do a quick pickup and a drop off and I'm in my personal car, so that's fine. But you need to, what if they tell you it's 19 stops on that in between that 20 miles? You know, if you don't know that information and you done gave them a price, then you probably could have screwed yourself. And then you're wondering, oh, I won a bid, but you don't know that you really shorted yourself because everybody else didn't ask them, or everybody else knows that this contract is 19 stops and that every mile you got to do a stop. And then you might even want to know, okay, when I go to the stop, is these packages or whatever, are they already ready, or are they complete, or do I got to wait? Because 20-mile, 19 stop, all of a sudden that can turn into an 8, 9, 10 hour day. Who knows? We don't really know until we do it. But if you get as much information as you can, then like I say, you have a better idea of what you actually quoting. Um, how many miles on this route total? You need to know these questions. Let's just say you hypothetically it's a janitorial contract, and you want to know what's the square footage of the building because just because you say to yourself, oh, okay, they tell you, oh, it's a building over here and it needs cleaning out. If you don't know the square footage of the building, you don't really want to just be shooting out a quote. You need to get as much information as possible. What are the hours of operation? Now this is a good one. I've done a janitorial contract, and the reason why that's good to know because some buildings lock up. So let's just say hypothetically, they close at 5 o'clock, but they tell you that their doors automatically lock at 10. So you need to be out of there by 10 p.m. You only got 5 hours to get in there, clean up, and then hurry up and get out. So you need to ask them, hey, what are the hours of operations? Is there a time that I need to actually be there? Is the time we need to be gone? Is it Monday through Friday or the weekends? Like what are the hours of operation if this is a janitorial contract that we need to be there? So what is the weight? What is the size? This goes back to courier. So you need to know what's the weight, what's the size, because all of a sudden if they tell you, oh, it's one pallet, and then they tell you that one pallet is 500 pounds, it changes when that one pallet is 10,000 pounds, and you like, oh, what's on that pallet? It's 10,000 pounds. You better not pull up in no Sprinter van. You might want to pull up inside of a box truck. So you probably can pull that off with a Sprinter van, but still, you get what I'm saying. Is it round trip or one way? These are the questions you need to be asking when you're talking to a contracting officer. You need to get as much, especially anytime a solicitation starts, they have a period of time where you can ask that contracting officer as many questions as you like. After that time period is up, what the contracting officers do, they take all of the questions that they received and then they'll post them right there along that contract, and they'll let you know what other people didn't ask so you can have that same information as well. So you want to get as much information as possible. You have electrical bills, that's fine. So yeah, you want to ask as much information as possible. That way, when it's time to actually submit your proposal, you're doing it accurately. So this the part, managerial accountant, financial accountant. This the part where I usually lose people at. This is the part where if somebody told me that they've done government contracting before, even with somebody else, or let's just say they took somebody else's program, and when it came to knowing their numbers, or when it came to writing a proposal, where they usually fall off at is doing their math, the accounting. I'm saying doing the math, so you know what I'm talking about. But in the end, we're talking about managerial accounting or financial accounting, and this right here is going to explain the difference in between managerial accounting and financial accounting. Um, if you're a business owner, if you're a business owner, you need to know your numbers. Matter of fact, I've been in the business so long that I know my numbers off the top of my head. So I can I don't want to say eyeball work, but yeah, I can eyeball a contract and pretty much know exactly how much I'm gonna charge for this contract, but I've been doing it that long. But for you guys, you're gonna have to understand what your managerial accountant is and what your financial accountant. Now, right here we'll say managerial accountant helps in budgeting, cost control, and strategic planning. Helps determine price strategies, cost reduction opportunities, and profitability, and that's internal use. Your managerial accounting is for internal use. That's just for you inside of your business, knowing how to, like I say, the math on everything. If you in trucking, what is managerial accounting? Knowing how much to cost, on cent per mile, breaking everything down to the mileage so you can, charge the right price. Managerial accounting is knowing, if gas is, or if diesel fuel is $3.25, if you're going 100 miles, exactly how many gallons you need to put inside of your truck to actually get there and get back, and have adequate amount of diesel fuel. Managerial accounting is knowing exactly how much you're going to pay your drivers or pay your employees, and also knowing how much your insurance costs, just everything about your business and what costs. You managerial accountant is when you take all of your expenses and you're able to break it down into a price of what you're going to be charging your customer, which in this instance, your customer is the government. So, once you know your managerial accountant, that's when you know, okay, on this contract, I can't take no less than $2 a mile. When it comes to government contracting, you're going to be looking around the $4 to $5, $6 a mile anyway. So, but if you know exactly how much you need to charge to, break even, and then you want to add your profit margin on top of that, and then now you in business. You're doing business now because you know your math. Now, financial accounting, this usually trips people up too. Financial accounting. And where the financial counting usually trip people up is the bigger contracts. So let's just say we get a USPS contract that's let's say $2 million contract, $3 million contract, and I know that might sound like a lot to people, but to be honest, like I've had contracts that big with USPS. You might need so many vehicles to run that contract that $2 or $3 million contract really don't come out to a lot once you think about how much you're paying all of the drivers, all of your expenses, like everything. In the end, you might be able to pay yourself $150,000 that year. So that's your net pay. So you know when people say a $2 million contract, remember that's gonna be gross. That's not usually what you're gonna be taking home. You good if you're in a profit margin of 10 to 20%, but that's on a larger contract like that. But when it comes to financial accounting, that's your historical data, financial performances, income statement, which is your profit and loss statement. You show revenue, expenses, balance sheets, your cash flow statements, and your statement of shareholders' equity. You would be the shareholder or anybody else that's financially invested inside of the business. So but this is paperwork that on those larger contracts, they usually want to know, or is your business in a financial state to where it can handle a contract like this? And if you are not in a financial state to handle a contract like that, then you most definitely going to need a factoring company. So they definitely look at these kind of they look at, especially for the larger contracts, they look at your accounting, and even when it comes down to I have, matter of fact, I have a USPS contract inside of the program, and I actually break down the math of how I actually came up with those numbers. Now, in the process of breaking that math down, that is called the managerial accounting. They want to see how you came up with your pricing. So if you're going into a proposal and and it's a larger contract or solicitation, they want to see, sometimes, not all the times, they want to see how you came up with the number you came up with. But just for your own peace of mind and just for how you run your business, you just need to know this anyway. You need to know your managerial accountant, and you need to have your paperwork in order every month, and you got your financial accountant in order. That's just running a business. And if you have been running a business for a certain amount of time, and you notice that your business isn't doing so good financially, usually it's because you're not doing your financial accounting, and then you know either you're spending too much money somewhere, or you're losing money, but you can't track it because you're not really tracking your expenses. And then sometimes you might be losing money just because of yourself, because you're spending your business money on your personal, and meaning you paying your own bills at your home, you going out to eat all the time, and you're leeching off of your business. So sometimes we are the reason why our business fail, because we not necessarily running our business right. So we got to know our numbers. So, which I'm going to dive a little bit more into that. Now, this is just an example of managerial accounting. Now, um, let's just say we got a janitorial contract. It's based on the 3,000 square foot building that needs cleaning approximately 5 days, Monday through Friday. Now, these are the questions that you want to ask in this contract. What is the scope of work? What is the square footage of the building? What are the hours of operation? Any special request? Is there an incumbent? And if so, what was the previous contract amount? Now, this just kind of helps with the ballpark, because if you do your managerial accounting and you way too high, but if you're somewhere in the ballpark, then that just kind of let you know. But an incumbent is somebody who was previously on the contract before you. That's usually the end of their term, and now they put out a contract, and now you're trying to pick up on the contract. And so, in that situation, you got to ask yourself, why are they losing their contract, or why is their contract up for the next to grab? Sometimes, you know, um, the market changed, they trying to get better pricing, or that previous person just wasn't doing good, so they didn't sole source from the contract again. So if a contract come up and they had an incumbent on it, it just could be possibly that they feel like somebody else can do a better job. Let me see if anybody asking this question. How much do factoring usually charge? Factoring can be the factoring company or the banks that factor on government contracts usually be around 5%. If you get around 5, 6, 7, like it's going more up, it's probably because you're just a brand new business and your credit bad. But usually they're going to base the factoring off of the contract that you have. And if you are factoring, that's got to be a part of your managerial accounting as well. Because if you know that, you're not going to be paying your employees out of your pocket. You're not going to be paying for materials out of your pocket. You got a factoring company, and it's a government contracting factoring company. You know that they're going to take out 5%. So if you got a contract that's, let's say $1,000,000, 5%, what's that, like $50,000 or something like that? So you should already be deducting $50,000 from that, and saying this is no longer $1,000,000 contract. This is a 950,000 contract, because 5% of it is about to get ready to go directly to factoring. So you just need to factor that in as well when you doing the rest of your numbers. I'm on. Do you have something for janitorial? Do I have something for? Do I have something? I mean, the government got plenty, but I don't have nothing for janitorial. But if you come across a janitorial contract and you want to ask me questions about it, then most definitely, we could chop it up about that janitorial contract. But just check in with your city. Check in with your county. Check in with the schools, the hospitals. Janitorial contracts is actually one of the the contracts that get put out the most. So there's plenty of janitorial contracts. Like janitorial contracts and lawn service contracts are two of the contracts that's always out there. You're gonna see them more than anything. So food related, always plenty of food related contracts. So catering, if what I would do is look for government events that's going on in your area. Usually when there's an event, there's going to be a catering contract that's going to come along with that. Um, how do you price that janitorial contract? You actually came in right on time on that janitorial contract, because I'm about to give you an example that's it's probably gonna be the best example that you can get as far as in pricing a janitorial contract. Bam, there we go. I put a hypothetical janitorial contract up there, and I'm finna get ready to show you how to price that. So your question was right on time. So remember, this janitorial contract is based on a 3,000 square foot building that need cleaning approximately 5 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So this is the part of the managerial accountant that if you don't know how to do this, which this is simple math when it comes to this, but you need to know your numbers, and you need to be able to chart everything that you're spending money on. And specifically, you want your chart to be just like this. Anything other than this, you're probably not doing it right. And there's a reason that you're going to want it like this as well. So let's just say your labor costs come out to $1,500 a month on this 3,000 square foot. Now you notice, because let's just say you got an employee, you want to pay your employees $15 an hour, and you know that they're going to be working 25 hours a week, because they can only work Monday through Friday, which is 5 days, and then they can only work from 5 to 10. So that's 5 hours a day, 25 hours a week. You're going to pay them $15 an hour. 25 times 15, after that's going to come up to 375, and then 4 days out of the 4 weeks out of the month, that's going to come up to 1,500. So this is what your budgeting, and this right here is just your employee. So this is your math on what you're going to be paying your employee a week. This is per week. This is the hours. This is per hour what you're going to pay them, and the 1,500 is what you're going to be paying them for the week. Then after that, you need to look at your cleaning supplies. My cleaning supplies is going to cost me $100 a month to do this janitorial contract. And then when it comes to my equipment costs, and equipment, I'm spending $50. Whatever that equipment might be, you say, I know that I'm going to be spending $50 a month just on equipment. restocking consumables, which is tissue and things of that nature. So let's just say you say that you're going to supply the tissues to their bathrooms or whatever they need, tissues or whatever they need, and you're going to be paying for it because you hold the contract and you're going to be furnishing these items. And let's just say that's going to be $75 a month. Now transportation costs, because you're going to have to drive there every day. So let's just say in between driving there, after a month, you done spent $50 just on dedicated fuel or just going there and back. Now business insurance. Let's say you find some business insurance, $100. Now I made these round numbers. These numbers can be all over the place in real life, but I just made these whole numbers just to make this example a little easier for you guys. But let's just say special considerations. This is when you ask your contracting officer, is there anything special that's going to be needed on this contract? Do you want me to, do something here or do something there? And whatever it is, you said, okay, it's gonna probably come up to an extra $50 a month. Now, when you run your numbers on this and you say, okay, from this price right here all the way down, we add that in, and we're gonna add this with the 1,500, you should come up with $2,025. Now, that's gonna be your base pay. So let me see if you guys following me first before I go too much further. Da 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 da. I got my presence. Okay, okay. Y'all following along? Okay, okay. So let's just say that your $2,025 is going to be your break even paid, and that's after you done paid for the supplies for the building. That's after you paid your employee. You got your insurance paid. Everything is paid for. Now you want to put a 20% profit margin on side of it. Now, this profit margin can be whatever you want it to be. This is just a part of business. If you want your profit margin to be 10%, if you want your profit margin to be 20, 30, 40, 50%, whatever you want it to be, that's what you're going to add right here. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take your base pay and then you're going to times that by your profit margin, and that's going to come up to 24.30. So that means when you get ready to submit your proposal for this contract, and then this is just based on the 12, just that 1 month. On that 1 month, you're going to tell them, hey, we can do this contract for $24.30 a month, and out of this, from 25 to that's going to be your profit that you're going to be making just as a business owner. Your employees taking care of that. You ain't got to worry about that no more, and you making a few $100s a month just off of that contract, but you don't got to worry about it. Now, there's ways in this that you can make more money. Now, let's just say hypothetically, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. If I wanted to keep these numbers the same, how could I make more money out of this contract? Can anybody give me an answer? Wait a second. Nobody ain't got no answers? Margins? Yes, you can increase your margins. You can increase your margins if you want to make more money. Less employees? Well, this is only based off one employee. So the only way we can do it with less employees is if we do the work ourselves and we put that money in our pocket. But I'm just hypothetically saying, if we had to pay this employee, do the work yourself, yes. Instead of 20%, go 40%, yes. Do the work yourself. Raise the transportation costs, you can. Okay. Pay yourself as a supervisor, you can. Okay. But let's just say that you got the contract already. You already secured the 24.30. So if you already secured the 24.30, you really can't increase your profit margin. The only thing you can really do is play with your numbers as far as in cleaning supplies. So let's just say instead of spending $100, you go and you're spending $100 because you get name brand, you get Clorox, So instead of the Clorox, you might have to start going high top. You know what? This bleach is bleach. Instead of getting the expensive brand, I need to go with the cheaper brand, and maybe I could take that $100 down to $50. Equipment costs. I'm using, whatever I'm using that's costing me $50 a month. Maybe I can take that down to $40. Restocking consumables. Let's just say the tissue that I'm getting, that's $75. I'm out here using, what's the tissue with the teddy bear? Whatever. I'm using the good stuff. Maybe I need to go to a lower grade tissue. So maybe I can take that $75 down to $50. transportation costs. I don't know how much that's going to change unless you change vehicles or you doing something different. But business insurance, maybe you need to find a different insurance company where you can take that $100 down to 88 or $85. When you're doing managerial accounting, you should be able to look at your numbers and then say, okay, if I tweak this and tweak that, I can keep giving my customer the same price, but yet I'm able to actually make more money out of this contract. And that's what you want to do when it comes to managerial accounting. Now, I'm gonna give you a quick story because you know me. If you know me in your program, I got you. I don't say this stuff for no reason. I told you, I always learn things the hard way. But I already had managerial accounting. I hired a guy, and I was just telling this story yesterday to somebody. I hired a guy, and this was some years back, and maybe by 2 months after I hired him, my numbers started being real off. my numbers started getting off. But like I say, I know my accountant. I know that if my truck is leaving from Dallas and going to Austin and coming back, I know exactly how much gas I can put in there to where when I come back, my gas hand is gonna hit the half every time I leave and every time I come back. I know this math. So I hired a guy, I took care of him. And I'm the type of guy that, if I see that you're going through something personable. I actually helped him out, put extra money in his pocket. Like I had a car dealership at the same time. I actually gave this dude a car so he can get back and forth to work. But 2 months after he started working for me, my math started getting way off. Bro was stealing gas from me. But I wouldn't have caught that if I wasn't doing my math and if I wasn't doing my managerial accounting. But I didn't notice at the very first that it was gas. I just knew that I'm spending too much money. So I need to be able to figure out where I'm spending too much money at. With me doing my math like this, with me doing my math like this, I'm able to look at everything. And I also had other employees. So I had to first boil it down to which employee that it was. And then once I boiled it down to him and I got to look and I said, whoa, his over the last past couple his fuel is high. I know the route that he's on. Why is his fuel so high? And then I'm able to go back and I'm able to look. Okay, I'm looking at his fuel card and I'm seeing that he's fueling up when he's in Dallas, but he's also fueling up when he's in Austin. So what's going on? The fuel that he's getting in Dallas is enough to get him there and back. What he's doing when he's getting to Austin, he was getting to Austin, he was at the fuel stop, the fuel station, he was selling the fuel and putting half the money in his pocket. You know how the scam go. But he was hitting the lick on me, basically. So on top of me actually taking care of him, you know, he got to the point he was getting greedy and then he started, stealing from me. But if I wasn't doing my math, I wouldn't have been able to catch that. I would have just been thinking to myself, I'm spending more. Maybe my truck is spending too much fuel. I would have thought something was wrong with the fuel, or maybe I need to fix something on my truck. Why is it burning so much fuel? Or maybe I just wouldn't have noticed it if I wasn't paying attention to my money. So this is a reason why you really need to break things down. Like if you're gonna run a business, you need to run a business, you know, and that's just how it is. You need to get into that business mind frame. And also, I don't want to get too far off of subject, but when you do run a business, you gotta factor you gotta factor it in that people gonna try to cut corners on you. You gotta factor in that some employees might try to steal. Walmart, Target, they have a ratio that they know that certain percentage of our items gonna get stolen out of the store. They know, okay, we usually lose 45% of products just to theft or just to damage, or returns. So they already factor that in. I'm not saying that you should factor in somebody stealing fuel from you, but just never put it past an employee is all I'm saying. And you just need to make sure you keeping track. If you're gonna run a business, you need to run the business. You need to make sure you tallying up the price on everything. Little stuff like pens and pencils and paper. Okay, that's to be expected. People gonna take a pen home with them, paper home with them. But when they get to taking a laptop home, when they get to taking the computer home, and you know, that's when you really know you got some issues. And so yeah. So he got fired or promoted. Shit, my homeboy over there, he was lucky and get dropped, but nah, nah, he got fired for sure. So yeah, and it's people that'll do that. So you just Yeah, experience the same thing. Fueling personal car. Yeah, you say fueling the personal car. Yeah, that'll happen too. That'll happen too. Yeah. I had somebody I had a guy put some fuel in his personal car, but then he called me and told me. He was just like, man, I ain't had no money to do this and I used the fuel card, man, forgive me. I said, you know what, I'm just gonna take it out of your check. But since you told me that, like just don't do that. Da da da. If you need a front on your next week paycheck, just come to me and let me know. But you know, anything is possible you know, yeah, people going hey, for some people it's just human nature. You know what I mean? We gotta think that even though we run a business, we still dealing with humans. You know what I mean? So I I never put it past certain people, certain things, and when from how long I've been in business, I never take for granted that like people are gonna be people. People gonna have excuses. Think about it, man. Some babies start lying at 2 and 3 years old. You know what I mean? So you know when you thinking about an employee, you know what I mean. Don't think that some people just ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I just kind of expect, and I'm the kind of person that I ain't gonna say I'm the kind of person. Since I've been in business, I've learned to pick up on BS even faster. I've had people call me. I know he about to be at work in 2 hours, and then my phone. Soon as my phone ring, I say, "Boy, the boy about to get ready to call in." I already know. Why is he calling me 2 hours before his job? Pick up the phone. Yeah, man, you ain't feeling good. I need to get somebody out there. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? So I wish you'd have told me a little bit sooner. So those are things you got to deal with. And I got kids. So with me having kids, I know excuses when I hear excuses. The second I start, it's something about the pitch of the voice that changes. That the second I hear that pitch change, I know an excuse coming. I know a lot coming. And it's the same thing when I'm dealing with an employee. When they telling the truth, something happened, I can hear it in their voice. Like, oh yeah, he telling the truth. That is what it is. But you can't go around firing everybody that done told you a lot because it's hard to find employees. You just got to have a range in what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept. But do I have room for one more student? I was thinking about maybe taking on maybe two more people, but yeah, this is just a part of the business. Now, let's just say hypothetically, we got this exact same scenario, right? We got the scenario. You're dealing with a contracting officer. They have been loving how you run your business. They want to sole source you another contract. They say, hey, they come to you. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, we love how you work. We love the price that you've been giving us. We have a building right across the street that we need janitorial services for as well. But instead of it being 3,000 square foot, it's 4,500 square foot, you know, but the hours is exactly the same. It's going to be open from 5 to 10. It's 4,500 square foot. And, we would love to sole source you this contract. What kind of proposal can you do for us? In this situation, what you want to do is you want to look at your monthly. Matter of fact, should I ask y'all or should I just tell y'all? I'll just tell y'all. Okay, in this situation, when it comes to the math, what you want to do is you want to take your 2430 and then you want to divide that by the square footage and say, okay, since they have another contract and it's the exact same hours, everything is the same, but it's another building across the street, so I'm going to have to hire one more person. And let's just say hypothetically, that the one person that's already working on the other building, when they get done, they really be there 2 hours, and then after 2 hours, they start moving slow. They really got the whole 3,000 square foot cleaned up in 2 hours, and so now they just moving slow to kind of kill time a little bit. So they'll let you know, okay, if this other building across the street, most likely they can still do it within 5 hours, but now they might just be working 3, 4 hours and then moving slow after 2 hours. But you want to kind of keep your math the same. So what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to do a little reverse math, so you're going to have to divide that 3,000 square foot, 3 foot, or you want to divide the 2430 into the 3,000 square foot. Your profit margin is still going to be the exact same, but what you're going to do is once you divide that, which that's going to come down to 81 cents per square foot. So how you going to do that for the 81 cent per square foot is now it's going to times that by the 4,500 square foot of the new building. So you're really charging them the same thing, but you changing your math based on the square footage now instead of just the month. So now after you done did that math to the square footage, you done came up to that proposal and said, hey, I'm going to charge you 36.45, I believe. So at 36.45, that's what's going to be the contract for this building across the street. The profit margin for you is going to be the exact same 20%, but you just charge them more for the square footage. So that's kind of how you would break that down if you wanted to charge them down into the square footage. And it's the exact same thing if we had a contract and you wanted to charge them by the month and you wanted to break that month down to the mile. You want to know how many miles you're going to be driving in that month. That way you can divide that to know exactly how much you're going to be charging them per mile. Now, so much mile for saying it big, so competitive. Yeah, but that's business, man. Business is math, and I don't care what business you in. It's gonna come down to math. Um, math is gonna be the key to business. So you know, technically we know it as managerial accounting, but I was the type of kid that I was selling candy in elementary. you know, I always been entrepreneur minded, and I knew that if I went to this back in the day when Dollar General had the three pieces of candy for $1, you can get a Snicker, a honey bun, or Babe Ruth or whatever, three for $1. I knew, okay, if I get them three for $1, when I go to school, I can sell them for $1 a piece. I know I'm gonna be making 66 cents for each candy bar. So we've been doing this already. That's if you were that kind of person who's been the type of person that make something shake and bake. But if you've been the kind of person that's been entrepreneur in mind, you already know math off the top of your head. And if you a street person, you definitely know your math. You should know this. We just taking it professional now. So it's the exact same thing. You need to know the cost breakdown for every single thing. And if there's something that's wrong, the math should already tell you where it's wrong at, because you know what, math don't lie. Math is going to be right every time. So you need to know your math. I'll go ahead and move on from this example. But websites that can assist. When I say websites that can assist, these are websites that you can go to: Coursera.org, Udemy, Allison, Khan Academy. These are websites that you can go to that have. It's either going to be very cheap, or they might even have free courses for just learning how to do managerial accounting, or just look up accounting. But you specifically really want managerial accounting. So these websites have you can go to them for free. I want to say Coursera is like $50 a month, and then some of the courses on there are free, but you won't get a certification for it. But at least we ain't looking for a certification, we're looking for the knowledge, So you can get on there and get the knowledge for free, and then learn something how to do math on managerial accounting. You can go to Udemy. Udemy have little small courses on there that are, 10, 15, $20 for a little managerial accounting. Now, these courses is going to give you enough to where you can understand. I ain't saying they the best. It's not like having a master's degree in it, but it can get you started. You know what I mean? It can get you in the ballpark of knowing a little something, and then when you inside of these, when you talking to a contracting officer or you talking to somebody else, and they get to talking about numbers, at least you can follow them. I talk about it a little bit inside of my course, but I don't necessarily do the math for you. We go over it inside of the course, but I'm not gonna make your financial statements for you. When it comes to making your financial statements, just gonna get you a CPA. I say that inside the course. But Allison, Allison is one of them ones where you can get the information for free, but if you want the certification, you got to pay whatever the certification cost is, which might be like 150, 200 bucks. And it's the same way for Khan Academy. These are just places that you can go, and I recommend Allison. The only thing I don't like about Allison is that most of their courses on there seem like they 20 years old, 25 years old. But like I say, math don't change. So, you know, math is always going to be the same. YouTube, exactly. I don't even know why I forgot to put YouTube University. YouTube. It's plenty of videos on YouTube teaching you how to do managerial accounting, how to break things down. If you ain't got the If you ain't got the the capacity to understand it, and it's just like, man, this is boring. Hey, you just need to start thinking money, because money ain't boring to me. So if you thinking money, you thinking I need to know this, so when I get these contracts, I know how to put everything in order. I know how to like I say, you need to know in the end. You need it looking like this. If y'all want, I'll take all of these numbers out and I'll put this under the free section inside on my website. If you ain't been to my website yet, I have a section that's free, and up under that free, you got items that you can download, and it ain't one of those, it's free, but you got to buy something, or I'm gonna try to sell you something else. Nah, it's free. Just click on it and download it, and you can have it. What I can do is I'll take all of these numbers out, and then I'll just put it on there for free, and then you can download it, and that'll get you in the ballpark of knowing a little bit of something about managerial accounting. But every contract is going to be different, because of course, if you're doing a courier service contract, you're not going to have cleaning supplies inside of there. You might have something different like fuel cost. You might have your insurance or your certifications, or you might have other information that pertains to that contract as far as in cost on side, on this sheet, and it's going to be different for any service contract that you have. Let's just say you have a debris pickup. You might have a debris pickup, and you know that it's going to take you a week to do it. Okay, I need to hire 10 people, so now you're looking at 10 employees. Or are those employees driving themselves to work every day, or do you got to go pick them up at a one of them day labor places? I believe in day labors. So, and like anytime there's a small service contract, anytime there's a small service contract, and you need people that you can come work for you, like right away, make you an account at the day labor place. And when you see those contracts that require physical, like physical, anything physically done, demolition, they need something tore down or they need something picked up, and you need a crew, you can go last minute to the day labor place, grab 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 people if you need to get this contract done. So I'm just putting that in y'all ear. I know me. I'm not a stranger to day labor. I know when I was in my younger years, I done had to go to a day labor place a couple of times to actually find some work for myself, just to make some ends meet a couple of times. But that back when I was like 19, 20 years old. But right now, if you need some employees and it's a service contract, let's say you find a contract that's a power washing contract, and you got your power washer, but you want to be lazy and you want to get other people to do it, man, you go on to the day labor place. Like I say, you have an account with them. You're gonna have a card on file with them. They're gonna charge your card for how many hours you say you need that person. They gonna pay that person. You could tip them if you want to, but they gonna pay the person, and you just have them do whatever you need to do. And that's how you can get your man crew. Or you can Home Depot it. I ain't no stranger to the Home Depot. Hey, I need 5, 10 people. So hey, they gonna come and they gonna get their work on. Then I'm gonna bless their game. So you definitely need to have your crew, if you're gonna be looking at service-based contracts. So I'm just putting that out there for you guys. Let me see. Let me read a couple of y'all questions. Didn't know we might have to supply some stuff for the janitorial contract. Yeah, you might have to. You gonna, like I say, you gonna need the scope of work, from that contractor officer, what's gonna be needed, because they might say, the last contractor, actually brought the tissue. That person bought the soap. Or they might say, no, we have a supply closet full of that. You don't need to bring anything. We already had it already. So every contract is going to be different. That's why you need to get as much information as possible, because let's just say you shoot them a quote based on just you doing the work or have an employee doing the work, and you don't know that you need to be supplying the tissue. You don't know that you need to be supplying the mops and the other cleaning, because you thinking they gonna have it already. You just need to come up and show up. Now you done price your service way too cheap because you didn't get all the information. And that's why if I'm writing a proposal for a contract, and let's say I do my numbers just like this, and I know a contract, if you do your numbers like this, you will know how cheap a contract can possibly go for. So let's just say with this contract being 2430, and then somebody outbid me and they did it for 1500, and I'm just like, wait a minute, they did it for 1500. Man, how did they get that contract for how did they do that? Either they doing the contract themselves, They paying themselves $7 an hour. Maybe they making the tissue at home, or maybe they got a hookup on the cleaning supplies and they getting it for $5 instead of $75. Like when I see somebody outbid me by a number and I done did this and I know it's not possible, I know that contract about to get ready to be back up on the market in the next couple of weeks to a month because they didn't do their math on it. They just shot out a number and they ain't gonna be able to uphold that contract at no $1,500 a month. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it in those situations. I always tell that contracting officer, make sure you keep my information on file because if they file up for whatever reason, I will be here to help you guys out. So, is it hard to get a mechanic repairs from the city? Is it hard to get mechanic repairs? From the city. I mean, the city don't really give out mechanic repairs. They do have mechanical or mechanic technicians contracts, to work on transmissions and different things of that nature. And the city do have, usually it's the Department of Transportation have that usually for the buses or the police cars. Sometimes they do hire mechanics and stuff to come up there. What's the name of the site we find workers for help. It's different. Just look whatever your in your side of your city. Inside of Dallas is labor ready. You can get them a call and just Google them. But look up, go to your area and just look up day labor. Just look up day labor companies, and you know it's people that done already applied that they got on call. Usually in them day labor places, usually they just already be there. Sometimes they go up there 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they are sitting up there waiting for companies to come through and choose as many of them as you need. And as you're sitting up there, the people in the office will say, "Hey, we need 10 people to go with them. They got a warehouse contract we're gonna be doing for like a week. Can you go with them?" And y'all might go inside of a van and go off with them. Or it might, hey, we got a lawn service company up here that need 10 people to do lawn service. If you've ever been to a day labor, you know that's how they do it. So, but I done been inside of a day labor. I done been inside of a day labor to work, like I say when I was younger, and then I done been inside of a day labor to hire. You know what I mean? So I done been in on both ends. So just make you an account. Um, get solicitation again. Yeah, look at that solicitation and ask questions. Also, go back and look at other questions that other people done asked them as well. So the MC number to bid on the contract. Nah, you don't have to have an MC number to bid on the contract. But the thing is, remember what I just asked, what I just said a while ago. As far as in, you got to know your business is the exact same thing. Or maybe you came in later. So if anybody came in or just not coming in, I done talked about you need to know your business. When a solicitation is being put out, they're not gonna tell you you need a MC number. You need a DOT. The military is the only one that I done seen so far that will say your MCDOT number have to be exactly 3 years old. Other than that, they ain't gonna tell you need an MCDOT. If you're a business and you're a trucking company, they expect you to already know what you need to have in order. Especially when they tell you to wait. So if they tell you something weighs 30,000 pounds and you're gonna be going over 4, 5 different states, either you need to have an MC or you need to be getting a temporary permits to go through each one of those states. They don't tell you what you need to do. You need to figure out what you need to do. Viewing contracts though clear, can you help? Yeah, most definitely. Uh, I can better look at the solicitation and da, 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 da. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna print this out maybe in an Excel, and then I'm gonna actually put it on my website up under the free stuff if y'all want that. Um, okay, now we know our math, we got everything else right with our business. Now we're going on to the set aside certifications. Of course, we should know what set aside certifications are. These are the contracts that they set aside just for whatever you fit in at. So if you're a small business, if you're a woman-owned business, veteran-owned, hubs-owned, if you're looking for those contracts, those certifications, you're gonna find those on SBA.gov. So if you small business, you can self-certify. Meaning when you get ready to sign up on SAM.gov, as you're signing up, you can actually certify that you're a small business. And to be considered a small business, you got to have either 500 employees or less, or you're making less than $7.5 million annually that really depends on what industry that you're in, but most industries fall up under the general. And as long as your business making $7.5 million or less, you are considered a small business. So, the government set aside 10% of contracts just for the small business. I'm in data too, GovCon, and on your site. Oh, that's what's up. So, sprint event, da 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 da. Okay. Women-owned business. All this is SBA.gov. 5% of contracts go to women-owned business. Veteran-owned business, 5% of contracts. Hubs-owned businesses, 3% of contracts. Like I say, you can find all of those on SBA.gov. Now, your state have their own certifications. Your state certifications is still administered by them, but your state have the application. You can do it through your state, and this is usually free as well. It's usually free as well. You shouldn't have to pay for this. I know some people didn't pay it or pay other people to do it for them, but if you make it to a website and then they tell you it costs $1,000 to get the DBE or the SBE or something like that, you're not on the right website. Now, it's different if you paying somebody to just do it for you because you ain't got the time or you ain't got the energy and you just paying somebody just to get to do the paperwork for you. That's different. But if you're on a website and they telling you it costs $300 or $5, $10, $1,000 to do a DBE, you're just probably not on the right website. You need to find a state website. Your state is going to administer. It does it every time. Okay, there we go. So your state is going to administer the DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise, SBE, small business enterprise, MBE, minority business enterprise, and WBE, women business enterprise. So your state is going to have a program for that, and it should be free. Grand State site. There's a lot of sites, and I'm actually that's actually going to be a part of your homework, but I'm actually about to get ready to go over that in just a second. Is it true that when you go through SBA, it takes months to get those? Yes, it takes months, especially within the past few years. It has taken months. Sometimes it's longer than others. Sometimes it might take you 2 months, but like right now, it's been taking people 6-9 months. So it does take a long time to go through the SBA. Now, going through your state for the DBE, SBE, like those certifications can be less, but it really just depends on the capacity that they have at that time. And they'll usually let you know, hey, at this time, it's probably going to take 3 months. It's probably going to take 4 months right now. So it just depends on, how jam-packed they are at the same time. That's in need. What are some top business industries that's in need? Most everything that's service based, that's physical. So when I say physical, meaning you're gonna have to physically power wash this, you're gonna have to physically paint. They need electricians, they need plumbers, they need people, like I said, the janitorial, not demolition. The demolition falls upon the construction, so they do have a construction contract. But if you got a construction company, those are for you, But they have other small contracts that you can probably get up and do. Is like the ones for cutting down trees. If you want to get a team together that cut down trees, the lawn service, the buying things like the government. It's over. I want to say I actually had that in my slide last time. I want to say it's over 2,000 services that they actually purchase, for, or they put out a solicitation for, but one of the most common that you're going to see is janitorial and lawn service off the back. I could just tell you now, like I see those contracts everywhere. Janitorial and lawn service is some of the then after a storm, it's a big storm come through your city. A big storm come through your city. All of a sudden, you're gonna start seeing a bunch of debris contracts. So they need debris picked up on this side of the city, that side of the city. They got tree limbs cut down. All of a sudden, they're gonna start having contracts for the companies that shred the trees, like cut the trees up and turn them into the mulch. And you can kind of see what's going on around you to when it's time to contract. Like I say, I just said it in another video. If I'm going outside and I'm getting on the highway and I see that the grass is too high on the highway, I can almost bet I can get on the state website, not state, but my city website, and they got a contract looking for lawn care services or looking for somebody that can go out there and cut the grass. So really, the video that I just posted on TikTok maybe like 2 days ago now, where I talked about everywhere I go, I see contracts. Just once you on that frequency of it, once you're on that frequency to where you now that since you know contracts and you done had a contract, now you start to see contracts everywhere. You know, just walking at the park, oh man, it's great. Oh, they about to get ready. Either they already got a contract out for this grass to get cut, or they already got it's about to be one out already. Anytime you see parks with a bunch of graffiti and stuff, hey, in a minute they're gonna probably have a contract to clean up the graffiti, or to come clean up the ground, So, you know, once you done been in it and you start seeing, you'll start to know, if you go downtown, there's a lot of government buildings downtown. I can go downtown, and if I start seeing a bunch of trash on the ground, homeless people that peed on the ground or whatever, I know a power washing contract is about to get ready to happen. They about to get ready to get this concrete power washed. They're gonna need the side of the building power washed. They're gonna need that parking lot power washed. So I know I just knowing, you already know what contract is about to get ready to come up. And you need to be having relationships with the contracting officer. You know, um yeah, you seen that post? Yeah, hey, and it's real. You know, I had a few comments on that post where people were just like, man, they only give those contracts out to their friends and family and this and that and that. Let me tell you, man, you still dealing. They only give those contracts out to their friends and family and this and that and that. Let me tell you, man, you still dealing with human beings. Contracting officers are human beings. Yeah, they're going to give contracts to their friends and family. I tell people that's why you need to build relationships. You need to build your relationships with contractor officers, and you need to do that by meeting them at events, calling them all the time, building that rapport with them, emailing them, getting in their face, letting them know this is what you do, because in the end you are dealing with humans. What would you do? What would you do if you're a contracting officer and you got $1 million contracts steady coming across your desk every day? You ain't gonna tell your brother to go start a company. You ain't gonna tell your mama, your sister, your home, hey man, I be having these contracts for these power washers, man. I on the back end, I can give you these contracts at 50,000. It's gonna happen. But what you need to do, you need to get inside, get in their face as well. And it doesn't take much, you know what I mean? It doesn't take much to get to know them, and at these events, get to call them, talking. It's a part of having relationships. If you in business, you got to know how to maintain relationships. You got to know how to create relationships. That's just a part of business. And I don't care what business you in, you need to know how to do relationships, and you need to know how to create relationships, and you need to know how to maintain relationships. This is like probably, when it comes to business, I'm probably giving you like the best business advice more than anything else. Managerial accounting, you need to know that, but relationships is way more important. Because I'll tell you now, I literally know somebody right now, and this is a woman. She know how to create and make relationships. I'm talking about, I seen her go from here to here, way up here in years, just because she know how to hold conversations with people. She know how to talk. She know how to make people feel good. Then she come through, and when she handle business, she handle business. So when she handle business, she do her job and she do it right. But the biggest thing about her is she know how to create relationships. She ain't afraid of talking to people. You know, and she ain't and she's gonna do her business, and she's gonna do it right the first time. So doing if you do good work, that's great. But you need to know how to create relationships. That's the biggest part of business. And if you want to know how to mess up business, just be bad at holding relationships. If you don't do your work that you supposed to be doing, or if you talking bad, if you catch attitude with people all the time, to be honest, if you're not good at holding relationships, you know, it's gonna be hard for you. It's all I can say. So I ain't saying you got to be super duper friendly with everybody, but in the end, you just got to know how to hold a relationship. Me personally, I'm an introvert, and it's a surprise even for me to be on live right now. But I had to come out of my shell, even to do this. I had to come out of my shell even to creating relationships and going places and talking to people and making business happen. Because I've always been a hard worker, but that whole creating a relationship part, I'm the type of person that I used to just didn't. You didn't. I was a truck driver. I used to be on the road 3 weeks at a time, a month at a time. Only time I was communicating with somebody is through my dispatcher on the Qualcomm. So if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't talking. So but when it came for me to actually creating relationships and creating business, I had to get out of my box and start talking to people, and start learning how to project my voice, start learning how to make people laugh and feel comfortable, and how many countries have I done won? I've been holding contracts since my first subcontracting contract was in 2014. My first primary contract was in 2015. My very first primary contract was a multi-million dollar contract, but I had already been a subcontractor, so I already pretty much had some experience. But outside of that, I want to say maybe about 4, 5 major contracts, and then I've had plenty of like little bitty micro purchase contracts. I don't even know at this point, to be honest. But as far as in those micro purchase contracts, those are contracts where it might have just been like a contract just to pick up something here and then go deliver it there. It might have had some small janitorial contracts. I done had a power washing contract. Those are contracts that probably paid me on like $2,000 or $3,000, and it was like for like a day or 2 days or something like that. So let me look at y'all. What typical profit margins on government contracts and trucking? It depends. The profit margin is going to be different for pretty much every contract. But my belief, and then that's the position I want to be in. The position I want to be in this position is the position I'm in right now. I want to be at home. I want to be sitting down. I don't want to be physically doing no work. So me personally, if I get a profit margin of 10%, 15%, I'm happy. You know what I mean? You could take me down to 5%. And then if you get so many contracts, if you lose on one or two there, you really don't even care. But typically you want to be 20%. That's a good profit margin. If you can get more than that, you good. So for me, I'd rather take less and be at home. But if I ever wanted to make more money, all I gotta do is change my numbers around, or I could just get up off my butt and go to work. I can get out there and do some work too if I want to put some more money in my pocket. But you know, um, I'm in my 40s now. I'm 40. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. As far as in working, I got my CDL as soon as I turned 21. I started driving. So you gotta think, man. I'm really at the point to where I want to be on easy mode. So I would rather get little contracts here and there and take my little 5, 10%. So that's how I'd rather play it right now. You need a good sub. Da, da, da. Do I need a good sub? Oh, you telling me? You telling me? I asked me. Um, I see a lot of department corrections contracts in my city for food. Are they easy to do? I don't know what easy is. Everything I've done has been hard, but it's possible. You know what I mean? So is it possible? Yeah, everything is possible. If there's a food contract for the prison, like same thing, just know your scope of work, and if you're gonna be getting the food, or you're gonna be the one that's catering the food yourself, or you're gonna be ordering, frozen food and delivering it to them. You just need to figure out the logistics of that. But can I say what's easy? I don't know. I ain't never had easy. All my life I had to fight. I don't know what that is. Bro, sled comes to micro purchases or sled contracts micro purchase. It just I don't. It can be just depending on the price or what they planning on the contracts. Being out there. Da 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 da. All right, let's go to the next slide. Past performance. This the part that usually trip people up as well. Past performance. Not usually required for MPT contracts. Contracts less than 10,000 or usually don't require past performance. If they know that it's gonna, and when I say micro purchase, usually your power washing contracts are gonna be micro purchase. Usually those contracts that last a couple days, most of those are gonna fall up on the micro purchase. The contracts where you got the debris pickups, the cutting down the trees, or picking up, just like those kind of physical contracts. Those are usually your micro purchase contracts that you might get for three, four, $5,000. Your pest control. They want you to come in and spray. A couple times. That could be a one-time contract, or that can be a contract to where it lasts. They got you on the contract where it's months and months at a time. But if it's just a one-time contract, if it falls on the micro purchase, you might not have to have past performance. So, if you don't have past performance, you need to make sure you have your resume. So if you've been in business and you've already been in business, you already got past performance, just have records of that past performance and whatever you're doing. It ain't got to be government contract. It could be some other personal stuff. Just have records of your past performance. And if you don't have records of it, have a resume. A lot of the contracts will take a personal resume for your business past performance. And if you plan on subcontracting a contract, you need to be finding a subcontractor that does have a past performance. So da, 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 da. Let me go on to the next one. Y'all still with me on there? Y'all good? My other computer over here done froze up, so now I don't know if y'all here or not. Up to 10K MPT. Yes. Up to 10K is MPT. So, okay, y'all here. Yeah, my other computer over here done froze. So I was reading y'all comments over here, but now I guess I gotta look at my phone. If I'm squinting like this, because I'm really blind. But fun fact, I put this up here for a reason, and it's probably a lot of what's going. This is one of the biggest conversations that's going on right now in the government, as far as in money being missing in the government, and this is what I feel like is one of the reasons why. Fun fact: what's not required to report? Agencies are not required to report MPTs $10,000 or less contracts. So contracts that are less than $10,000, government agencies aren't required to report those. So imagine, one of the reasons I found this out is because I had a power washing contract, and usually in their system they know if you done had a contract before, and they said they couldn't find it, and I was like, well, I had records of it myself, but I was wondering why they didn't have it, and the lady just straight up told me, oh, maybe the last contracting officer didn't report it. And so that blew my mind. Like, what you mean didn't report it? After she told me, I had to go do my research. Any MPT contract under less than $10,000 is not required for a government agency to report. So, you know, and there are some exceptions, meaning if it's an emergency situation, usually MPT contracts are contracts that are $10,000 or less. But if it's a situation to where it's an emergency, they need something done like last minute right now, maybe some trees and fell down. They need somebody out there emergency. MPT can go up to 10,000, I mean $20,000, maybe even up to 30 in an extreme situation, but they can take a MPT up to $20,000 if it's an emergency situation. Um, and in those emergency situations, you need a payment processor. So, and I talk about that actually inside the A2Z Training Ultra. You need to have your payment processor. You need to if you're doing a small contract that's $10,000 or less, and you don't have to wait a net 30 or net 60 or net 90 to get paid. If you're dealing with a GPC, which do I talk about GPC right here? Yeah, that's the next one. It can be paid for by a GPC, which is just a government pay card, like a credit card that they have, that they can pay you right then and there as soon as you send them an invoice. And on some, depending on the contractor officer, because they the ones with all the authority on the MPTs. You can sometimes even get paid before the actual work is done. If you say, okay, then go and send them the invoice, you got your payment processor, you can get paid just like that. Now on your SATs, on simplified acquisition threshold, 10,000 on $25,000 or less, may not be reported as well. So that's just another fun fact that SATs $25,000 or less are not necessarily required by government agencies to report. So, you know, and like I say, we're dealing with human beings. So with everything going on in the news right now about extra money being spent and things of that nature, I say to myself, if if a contracting officer wanted to skim a little bit off from the top, all they would have to do is just, somebody said that they wanted to do a contract for 10,000. All they have to do is just write on the papers that it was 24,999. Anything less than 25,000 don't have to be reported. So I'm just putting that out there for you guys. Now, B2G. Now, what time is it? 10:14. I said I was gonna stay less than an hour. Okay. Y'all want me to keep going or y'all want me to wrap this up? Y'all ain't responding. Let me see. Let me see. Keep going. Okay, keep going. Okay. Look for contracts in your area. And I'm just about to go. That's the two part. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. So B2G and the registering. Remember just a second ago we were going over B to G, and we were focusing on the B, the first B. But now we focusing on the two. Now we done focused on our business. Now we need to actually focus on getting to the government, and that's the registering. So somebody just asked about how to register. Now, of course, everybody knows sam.gov. That's gonna be your first stop. I don't care who you want to work with. If you're trying to go work with DOD, the VA, if you're trying to go work with your local state, city, you're gonna have to stop here first. Go ahead and go get your UEI number. Um, I suggest you get your cage number, but if you don't get your cage number, it's okay because your cage number is only really required when you plan on working with the military or DOD. If you don't plan on working with the military or DOD, your cage number isn't necessarily that important, but you do need your UEI number. It only takes 20 minutes to get on sam.gov, go through the application, and get your UEI number. They give it to you right then and there. It's a quick process. So first, you're going to register at sam.gov. Simple. We should know this, but if you don't know, now you know. Now, your procurement boards, procurement boards is usually where they're going to put the contracts at. So if you're looking for a contract, you need to be looking for a procurement board, and most agencies have the procurement boards in their procurement office or their procurement department. So look for that government agency's procurement department, and they should have a procurement board, and the procurement board is where they're going to put all of their contracts or their solicitations. So on the federal level, of course, we got SAM. And then from there, you got direct through the departments, VA, FEMA, DOD, your state. You can go straight through your state, whatever state that you're in. And then from there, every state has a procurement board. So every state has a procurement board. Go to mygovpal.com. You go there, you go to the state link that they have up there, and then you can see what state that you're in. You can click on that state. It'll take you directly to that state's procurement board, and you can register as a vendor. But I would suggest registering as a vendor on sam.gov first. Now, locally, of course, you can register for your city, your county, your transit system, your hospitals, your school districts, and private businesses. Don't sleep on the private businesses part. I know we're looking to contract with the government, but money is money, and acquisition process is acquisition process, and procurement process is procurement process. It doesn't matter if your customer is the government or if your customer is a private business. Usually private businesses still go through their procurement process as the same way as they was dealing with as if you were dealing with the government. Exact same thing. So, you know, those are your procurement boards. Now, these are departments that you can register with that are overlooked at times, or they're overlooked, or people just don't know. You can go to your local rail port yards. Of course, if you know anything about my trucking business, I do a lot of rails and ports. We got a UIA, and we in the rail yards a lot. We're in the port yards a lot. So that's where I'm going to be. I'm gonna get contracts with them. I'm signed up directly with them. DLA, Defense Logistics. So that's another one. Usually with DLA, they are usually buying a lot of items for the military. So you can sign up with DLA. You got your VA. After your Department of Veteran Affairs, they have their own contracts. They have their own procurement boards. You got DOE, Department of Energy. They have their own board. They have their own contracts. You got FEMA. I'm actually with a couple of my people that's doing my one-on-one mentorship. We're going through the FEMA right now. So not every last one of them, but a couple of them is going through the FEMA process right now, and I'm holding their hand through that process, which is actually pretty easy. NASA. Now, if you into IT, product services, anything dealing with computers, NASA is one of the ones that have your IT contracts, your software contracts, your security contracts, and I got somebody that I'm working with one on one. Ken Kevo, if you often heard, I don't know if you is or not, but we're gonna be going through the NASA. We're gonna be signing up at NASA. And if you're trying to get those security contracts, that's where I plan on taking you after you complete those other steps. That's if you hear inside of my live. But these are places that are overlooked sometimes because a lot of people don't know that it's more to government than just sound and then your local stuff. Um, matter of fact, before I go there, I want to show the government has over 400 agencies, 400 different agencies of the government, each with various procurement needs and vendor registration. For the most part, every last one of them is going to tell you to make sure you sign up at SAM and have a UEI. They're going to tell you that off the rip. That's what you always got to do first. But even when you sign up directly with FEMA, if you're in the process of signing up with FEMA right now because their registration is going to close here in like another couple of days, even when you register with FEMA, they tell you have to sign up with SAM first, and then after you sign up with them, they have their own process as bringing you on as a TSP or just as a vendor or a provider. They have their own process. So the government has over 400 different agencies. You can sign up directly with VA. You can sign up directly with DOD. USPS is another agency inside of the government. Those are going to be your mail, your courier contracts. So even USPS is another agency. There are over 400. Like even when I said NASA, I was talking to a guy the other day about NASA contract. He never even knew NASA had their own contracts. Or even they had their own registry boards. So you know um, it's a lot of different contracts out there. It's more than just the 3 or 4 or 5 different places that people normally know about. It's a lot. But if you are looking for an agency, what you're usually looking for, no matter if it's on the state level, private company, the different agency, like I say, either NASA or Department of Agriculture, that's another department. You're going to be looking for the procurement department. This is what you're going to be looking for if you're looking to register. You're looking for the procurement department, the purchasing department, bidding office, acquisition office, sourcing center, award center, contracting department, opportunity solicitor. All of these mean the exact same thing. This is just where they put their contracts. This is just the department where they put their contracts at, and these names are the same. They just using different names for the exact same thing. That's all they doing. But this is what you're looking for when you're going to these different agencies, and then you're looking to sign up as a vendor, a supplier, a contractor, a partner, a builder, agent, or a provider. That's what you and your business are. That's what you and your business is right there. You are a vendor, supplier, contractor, partner, builder, agent, or a provider. So if you're looking for a different department, you're looking for this and you're looking to sign up as that. Take a screenshot so you can remember. So that's what you are. Hopefully you got it. Y'all got it? Should I pause it for a second? How much was your recent contract profit? 20%. I'm in a 20% profit margin. The 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 contract that I'm in right now is a process server contract, and once this contract is actually up, which somebody else is actually doing the work. I do got my process server license now, but once this contract is actually up, I'm gonna actually take a break for a little minute on actually doing contracts, and I'm gonna try to concentrate just on bidding, get it on the other side of the business. Like I say, I've been in it so long, I want to get on more on the teaching side of it now. And then and another reason why I want to teach it because there are so many other people out there with programs and they're a teacher and I turn around and I'm getting a lot of people that came from their program, that come to my program, and they done paid them $3, $4, $5,000, and then they come to me and they don't know how to do simple stuff. They don't even know when they come to the math, they don't even know how to do the math. You know what I mean? Uh, they don't know how to write a proposal. They don't know how to analyze the solicitation. So I say to myself, how are they over there paying $3, $4, $5,000 and don't even know how to they don't even know how to read the solicitation. Don't even know how to put a proposal together. So what did you just pay for over there? So I believe the information I give away for free is already beating what they over there paying $2,000 or $3,000 for, or the information that's inside the A2Z Training Ultra. That's a cheap price. That's just $78 to start, $23 a month. Like I say, counts whenever you want to. But even at the $78 to get inside of that program is still watching some of these other programs. But now that I done started the one-on-one, what I plan on doing for the one-on-one, first off, if y'all know, I don't accept everybody into the one-on-one. The reason why I don't accept everybody to the one-on-one is because it's a 12-week program, but it's really like a crash course. When I say crash course, meaning from the time you start inside of that program, my goal is to make sure you have a contract by the 12th week. Or if you don't have a contract, we should be damn close to signing a deal on one. And to get you from the beginning all the way to the end in 12 weeks, I need to know that you ain't bull crapping, basically, because it's a lot you got to learn. You got to think from the years that I've been inside of this, not just in government contracting, but just what I know just from business. I'm really trying to infuse all of that information inside of your brain within 12 weeks. And that means you got to be dedicated just as much as I'm dedicated. And on top of that, I only can take a handful of people. Say the pros of me doing a one-on-one is that yes, you can have me. You can have my number. We talking to each other. I'm building you a weekly schedule. I'm making sure you hitting your goal markers. I'm talking to you. Hey man, you need to pick it up. Sometimes if you start to slack out, I'm gonna let you know. Say, hey man, we gotta come on. We gotta pick up. We gotta pick up the pace. But the negative side of that is it's only so much of me that I can give. So on the negative downside of one-on-one coaching, I can only take a handful of people at one time. So and that's because I'm genuinely trying to help you, and I'm not just trying to take your money and then let you do your thing. I can only deal with so many people, and that's why when somebody asked me just a second ago, am I taking people? I can probably only take maybe 2 more right now. But then after that, I'm gonna have to wait. Okay, they off in. I'm gonna probably have to wait another 6 weeks before I can take another group of people. So that's just all I can do. So it's a plus to it, but I can only take so much outside of that. Now, okay, now the B2. Now the last G is the government. I'm gonna say the government part for next week. And then I'm gonna dive in. As you see, this is my 3rd week actually doing it, and I haven't even got to the government yet. And there's a reason why I'm doing this. It's a reason why I haven't gotten to the government part, because I want you guys to focus on your business, then how to register. But there's no point of even talking to the government if you don't know your business yet. So if you know your business, you know your numbers, like I say, I'm gonna take that Excel sheet as far as in there, as far as in the janitorial. But man, go to Coursera, go to Udemy, try to get as much information. Never let your education stop. Even if, let's say if you was to join my one-on-one coaching program or you get an A2Z Training Ultra, never let your education stop, because it never stops for me. I had one guy one time ask me, oh man, it's a lot of people out here teaching government contractor. Who better, you or this person? That learn from all of us if you can. You know, Out of everybody that you dealing with, eat the fish, spit out the bones. You know, Everybody's gonna relate to everybody in different ways. Look at what they're teaching and how they're teaching, and if it actually applies to you. For me, a majority, like I say, I come from the logistics space. I've done other kind of contracts, but let's just say if somebody say, "Hey, I'm only coming to you because I want to know more about cybersecurity and this and that," I know where I can get some cybersecurity contract. But if you ask me a cybersecurity question, I'm not gonna know what to tell you. So I'm not gonna say I know everything, because the government contracting is so wide, it's so vast that it's you can have 200,000 people off and they could be teaching 200,000 different things. That's how big government contracting is, you know. So I had a lady that she joined my program after she wasn't satisfied with somebody else's program. But after I got details of what she told me about the other person program, I don't think the other person program was bad. I think where that person come from isn't just where she trying to go. You know, so when she told me, oh man, I was checking this guy. I think he's on YouTube. I don't really know. I can't remember the guy name. No disrespect and like that. I just don't remember his name. What she said his name was, but I looked him up at that time, and then I saw that he has a computer software company, and he does government contracts with computer software, and he got this government contracting program. But she wanted to be more in logistics. She wanted to be a freight broker, and but she took his course on government contracting, and he didn't give her the information that she was looking for. And you know, and I told her, I don't think he got a bad program. I just I don't think his program was fit for you because he's coming from a different angle, but he's still talking about government contracts because the information he gave you was correct. Just the same as if you was coming to me about, you know, like I just said, cybersecurity, I'm not gonna know so much about that. I do know general information, but I'm not gonna be able to give you deep dive information just on cybersecurity. That's just not my field. I'm logistics. You know, ask me any logistics questions. I promise you, boy. Hey, I give you all the information off the top, off the dome. But your homework, this gonna be the homework that I want you to do. And because like I said, it's over 400 different government agencies, and everybody tend to only think about the same few. People think about in this homework. I don't want to see the VA. I don't want to see DOD. I don't want to see Health and Human Services. Those are the departments that I feel like people know about, or maybe I'm mistaken, but I feel like people heard of those departments. It's over 400 different agencies of the government. Your homework is I want you to find three different agencies, and out of those three different agencies, I also want you to figure out how do you sign up with them. That's your homework. Will I know if you did your homework or not? I won't know because I'm not like I'm finna come and check you and give you an F. But if you want to know more about business and you want to advance yourself, I think you doing that homework is going to give you a skill to understand a little bit more about government contracting and how to find it. So I done already told you how to find them. You're gonna go to that. You want to look for their offices, and then you want to know how to sign up as a vendor, supplier, contractor, builder, agent, provider. 400 different agencies, just find three. I said NASA a while ago. I had people didn't even know you could sign up with NASA as a contractor. But just find them and then figure out how do you sign up with them. That's the homework. So other than that, now I answer questions for a little bit, but then we're gonna go to bed. So anybody got questions? Let me see. Is my computer is still slow over there? Da 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 da. 3 badges. Okay. If I don't get no question, I've been putting my technical proposal together for a bid listening to you already. That's what's up. Oh, that's what's up. I'm glad. It just all you need is just much information as possible. And and really like once you done a few, you know, me personally, I don't ever expect to win a contract. Even when I'm training somebody, I don't expect them to win their first maybe 2 or 3 contracts. So, you know, but they're gonna be even learning from that and just learning how to extract information and how to submit their proposal. Um in the one-on-one coaching program, my system, because everything you do gotta have a system. If you ain't got no system, then you just shooting everything and you just shooting in the dark. My system is to make sure you got your paperwork and everything done within 4 weeks. That way, that'll give us a full 8 weeks of just concentrating on submitting proposals, making sure you know how to do your managerial accounting, you know, making sure that you know everything it takes as far as in doing contracts. And maybe the first, after 5 to 6 weeks, we might do it the manual way. Then by the time we get to week 7, 8, 9, we're gonna be using AI. And I want you to be submitting, at least 3, 4 solicitations a week. So when I say in 12 weeks, we're gonna be crunching it. 12 week we crunching it. If anybody that's inside of my mentorship right now, if you are already in it right now, you already know that I'm throwing it. And if I ain't throwing it to you fast enough, let me know as well. Because if you feel like you moving faster than me, I will speed it up. But um, do I need to schedule a phone consultation for you to show me how to find USPS contracts? You can, or you can just join A2Z Training Ultra. You're gonna be paying the same thing because the consultation 75. Join us A2Z Training Ultra 78. And me personally, I tell people to save their consultations for after you feel like you really, really need it. But if you want to pay for a consultation so we could talk about it. Consultation lasts an hour. A2Z Training Ultra lasts a month. If I were you, because I'm gonna tell you to save money. If I'm you, I'm gonna tell you to join A2Z Training Ultra. After you join traders A2Z Training Ultra, get all the information you can out of that. And if you have any questions, you probably won't have no questions. But if you do have any questions, then book a consultation. Or if you got 1 or 2 questions, you ain't got to book a consultation. You could just DM me and ask me. But if you need about an hour of my time and we need to have a conversation, then just book the consultation. But if you're gonna spend $75 for a consultation, you might as well just join A2Z Training Ultra and just have all the information. That's just what I say. But hey, if you want to talk to me, you can. Natalie, how long you been in it? Drug test. I missed that other comment. Oh, I can't scroll down. I'm joining. That's what's up. Else do I need to create to have access to different industries? What type of LLC? Just a regular LLC. If you ask the question, what type of LLC do I need to create? Do I need to create to have access to different industries? Just you could just create a regular LLC, and then from there, just make sure your name is fluid. I see on your name is Sir Rosalie. Man, name it. If I'm pronouncing it, if I mispronounced it, forgive me. But name it Wosley Incorporated. And if you name it Wosley Incorporated, from there, that sounds like nothing and everything at the same time, to where you can do any contract that you want to do. How do we sign up for the 12-week program? I need to have a conversation with you first. Book a consultation. We'll talk, and because before anybody signed up for the program, we need to have a conversation because I need to know what your goals are. And for the people who do sign up, I I I'm creating your 12-week plan. Like nobody's gonna have the same plan, not unless 2 people just so happen to come in the same situation, but nobody's gonna have the same 12-week plan as the last person. So we need to have a consultation first. I need to know what your goals are. I need to even know, will it actually work out? If I feel like okay, then we can work out. I feel like I can really help you. Then I will create your plan that's catered just for you and your situation and your business. And then the goal is to break that down into weekly. I'm doing managerial accounting even inside of that, making sure that you reach your goals, because I need to break that down into 12 weeks, and I need to make sure that by the 12 week you didn't reach your goal. Do I have an admin service? And register for do I have an admin service? What's funny? I was actually just talking to a business partner, and we was talking about starting another side business to where we just sign people up for, either if you're trying to get into government contracting, if you're trying to register different places or get your certification. We talked about starting that service because even though I'm telling people that it's free, you can literally sign up and do your DBE for free. It's still time consuming. Some people don't want to spend that time filling out all of that paperwork. And me and my business partner were talking about creating a service to where we'll get people LLC for them, or we'll do the registering at the DOT or your MC number, or registering for your freight broker license, or getting your LLC, your EIN. Well, we'll just do everything for you. But I'm the type of person where I like to give people stuff at a price that's doable. And plus, I made a video like a couple weeks ago about somebody who was charging $2,000-$3,000 for a DBE certification. Nah, man, like we'll probably do it for $150-$200 or something like that, and then make sure it get done right the first time. Um, can I have my trucking company and broker company under one LLC? Don't do it. Don't keep them separate. You know, even right now, I don't know if you've been around, how long you've been around, but I used to talk about my freight broker company and my trucking company, and just here on TikTok. And if you've been around long enough, you'll know I started having issues inside of my freight brokerage company, and I started having issues with my trucking company because they pieced them together. And you don't never want them to piece it together because now you might have your old brokers. They don't want to do business with you with your trucking company because they know you got a freight brokerage. You got some shippers that only want to deal with brokers. You got some shippers that only want to deal with carriers. Just keep the businesses separate, not under the same LLC, different addresses, different phone number. My my trucking company got flagged on Carrier 411 because I was online talking about my freight brokerage company, and then I showed my trucking company, and then somebody snitched on me. So but I mean it's not illegal, but you just they don't like dealing with both. So keep them separate all the way. You know, different name, number, everything. You want it separate, address, everything. You want nothing matching. Does it matter how many LLC a person have to set up as? Nah, you can have. You know what's the beautiful thing about LLCs in a business? You can have as many as you want. Like seriously, if there's people like I can't remember his name, but he owned all of the different versions, like the Virgin Islands, Virgin Airline, Virgin Mobile. He owned all of the different versions. He owned over 300-400 different businesses. The wonderful thing about an LLC, you can have unlimited LLCs, and you can also unlimited build credit in all of your LLCs. I'm just letting you know how big it can get. The bigger you think, the bigger it can be. Are there any local drive-in contracts in Houston area? I don't know. I haven't looked in Houston in a while. Um, usually if you're looking for a drive-in contract, I'm gonna say you might want to look at FEMA, VA. Right now they not accepting no well VA isn't accepting anybody right now, but you probably can check in with them in a few short weeks. But when it comes to that, you really want to look at your ports and your rails when it comes to any kind of that, especially if you're in Houston. If you near ports, you need to be looking at ports. But I'm just saying, can I have a trucking company, broke company, da, 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 do you have any ambulance service? Where to file box truck contracts in Houston? Just signing up everywhere. Um, to be honest, if I had box trucks, if I was doing if I was doing if I had a box truck and I was looking for contracts, I'm going to be looking more municipal. They have a lot of when I say municipal, it's just like the courts and things. So the courts have a lot of courier services. Those are usually smaller, but I would be looking at your school department as well because they have the contracts for like delivering the food to the schools and things of that nature. Get info, it doesn't matter. Da, 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 da. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for the night. Um, you guys have a good night, all right? Peace.